Good morning. I am here today with Cindy Richter, President and CEO of VanguardFire Systems and past President of the National Association of Women in Construction. Thanks for being with us here today.
Well, it's good to see you, Lori. I'm pleased. So awesome.
So why don't you tell us about your career journey? What made you decide to get in construction and kind of how you got where you are today?
So my journey is a little bit different. My husband and I bought VanguardFire Systems in 2003. So I didn't grow up in the industry. Before that, I was in consumer product sales. The similarities are that they're both very male-dominated industries. So I started my career being the only woman in a district of a lot of men. Most were older than myself. But in 2003, my husband and I bought, at the time it was Honeycutt Fire Systems, and we've run it for the last 18 years. So
awesome. So why don't you describe what Vanguard does and kind of what your position on a day-to-day basis is?
Okay, so what we like to say is we provide peace of mind for our customers. So in the event of a fire, our systems that we put in will protect the buildings and their occupants. So we install fire sprinkler, fire alarm, and security systems in commercial buildings. Our customers are general contractors, property managers, building owners. And we design those systems, we install them, and then when it comes to annual maintenance, service, testing, we provide those services as well as monitoring of the systems. My role is president and CEO, but when you work for a small business or run a small business, you do a lot and wear many different hats. So my primary role is operations. I'm very involved in the sales and am acting sales manager. But my love and where I think I really, my strength and where we excel is in process improvement. So we're very involved in all of our processes, getting them written down, clearly defined, and just ensure that everybody follows those steps. So personnel development, HR, marketing, are all part of the things I do. And then safety is a big deal being in the construction field. So I'm on the safety committee and work with that as well. So like I said, lots of hats.
So has COVID had an effect on your business at all?
You know, it has. I think from a financial and revenue standpoint, we had our largest or best year we've ever had last year. So that was, you know, our jobs were not affected. And so that's been very good. But from just I guess, employee health, mental, you know, feeling supported, you know, communication has been a big deal. So we try to send out lots of emails and, you know, one of the big changes for us is we weren't really on the forefront of technology. And within a week, we had to figure out a way to send everybody home with laptops or their, you know, their desktops. We installed Microsoft Teams. So now, even if we're in the building, we hold all our meetings on Teams. Technology has been a big part of it. So that's been a positive thing. And I think as a company, we've got 50 employees. We're a lot more connected, even though we physically don't see each other on a daily basis. But we've probably got, I'd say probably maybe a quarter of our workforce that's working in the office and the rest are working from home. And then of course our guys are in the field every day running the construction job. So
yeah, I think, I mean, not that COVID's a good thing, but it did kind of force companies that hadn't got into the technology side yet, that didn't want to kind of make that change. I think it definitely did push them that direction. And I haven't heard any bad. I mean, it seems that people do like it and it does work. You know, a lot of companies are going to let people stay at home for long term. So it's a good thing that came out of the bad thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the mental shift. You know, I was one of those that thought if you're not sitting in the office, I don't see you working, so I don't know if you're working. You know, and now it's really been a pleasant surprised how everybody's embraced this. And as long as you meet your deadlines and your work is, product is at the same level it was before, things are running well. And, I think it says a lot. We had our best year we've ever had, during this pretty crazy time. So,
that absolutely.
We've learned a lot from it for sure.
Awesome. So is there any person or group that maybe had an impact? I mean, obviously you're with the National Association of Women in Construction, but I mean, you could talk about that group as well, but is there any other, like, coming up through, the 20 years that you've been doing this? Is there anything else that kind of stood out as helped you through your career?
Yeah, so there's a couple. For sure, National Association of Women in Construction, and we can talk more about that. But out of that group came kind of a small set of, I'll say, mentors or other women that own construction companies in the Austin area. And they have really, over the last, I would say 5 years, we have a kind of a text group. We email each other back and forth, share best practices. Anytime we have challenges or just need resources, that's my core group of about 4 women and their companies that we rely on. And it was really been instrumental to COVID, because everybody either has just talked to an attorney or they've had that same situation in the past, but with COVID, nobody had ever dealt with it before. So to have that really sounding board as an entrepreneur, people that you could rely on, has been very instrumental in navigating, this last year. So that's the most recent example. But the other one is I'm a member of Vistage International, which is a CEO peer leadership group. And it is international. I've been a member for 11 years.
Wow.
We meet monthly with a business coach for 2 hours, and then meet with our peer group of about 12 companies in other industries, not specifically in construction. And we process issues. We have speakers that come in. We talk about anything from finances to how to hire a salesperson to personnel issues, whatever. And it's really been I would say my trusted board of advisors that has been transformational to our business. I would never be where I am today without having that accountability and then those resources and people to rely on if I didn't have that group. So some sort of peer group, and then, my small industry related group have been 2 things that have made a huge difference.
It's interesting that you say that, because we are actually, which is why they brought me on, just launching a credit manager community. So we can get the credit managers to all come in, they can ask questions, watch classes, do anything that they need to do with people that are in the same position as them. And it's all free and interactive. I think it's going to be a real good thing to have, and especially listening to how you say yours is. I think we're on the right track there.
Well, so many people share the same type of problems regardless of industry. And then if you can get a group within your industry, it just saves the research and the legwork and really the sleepless nights. And that's what that group of small women has, we respect each other so much. If somebody reaches out and asks a question, the answers are immediate. And I had a specific situation just recently, this last week. Our credit card processing company, we're not very happy with. And, within 30 minutes, I had, who they've used, what the pitfalls were, who they recommend. And, that just saves a lot of time and, like I said, headaches.
And it proves, reputation. At least you get a reference of somebody before you just try them out.
Exactly.
That's nice. That's nice.
Exactly.
So have you, especially in the beginning, have you had to deal with much harassment or discrimination because, you were the only woman, one in the first field, but, kind of transferring over even to the construction side? If you want to tell any story, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So, 2 different types of discrimination, owning your own business. When you're the owner, you don't get as much. And, the consequences of somebody not treating you fairly or whatever can be more severe to them because of the position of power when you're the owner. I think in the beginning there was, justifiably so. I didn't come from the industry, so there was a lot for me to learn, even though, I'm the one that's signing the paychecks and, hiring and all of that.
Right.
So I think, some of those lessons are learned regardless of the position, which is just listen more than you talk, learn and study hard, try to gain people's respect. And that handles a lot of that discrimination. But early on in my career, I mean, and again, this is in the mid to late 80s, you just wouldn't believe the things that happened. I had a regional manager before he promoted me asked me what my family plans were in terms of having children.
You don't do that these days.
No, you don't. I had a salesperson throw a bar of soap at me and say, listen, little lady, I don't know who you are to come in here and tell me where to put my soap. We were working out shelf space in a grocery store, and he was a 60-plus-year-old man and been in the industry for 30 years. And he didn't tolerate a little 22-year-old coming in and trying to push her weight around, but nothing too bad. I mean, when I was promoted into management after a couple of years in the sales industry, those were still the days where you would have nightly dinner meetings, and then all the guys would go to the strip bars afterwards.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I had to make a decision, do I play along or do I stand my ground in what I felt comfortable with? And that's what I did. I probably missed out on some, conversation or whatever, but I just felt like, my own moral standards were more important. And I think that message relates to today. Anytime that discrimination comes up, it could even be racial, you're in a position where you're uncomfortable. What's that moral dilemma? Do you stand up for what you believe in, regardless of the consequences, or do you stop and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not going to allow that continue. And it takes a lot of courage. So
it does. I think that's probably one of the hardest things is for a woman to speak up.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we talk about that in our, our association a lot too, is being an advocate for yourself. And there's ways to go about it where you don't ruffle a lot of feathers, but you make your feelings known and, not forcing somebody into a corner, which makes people very defensive, just kind of vocalize where your feelings are and what you're willing to accept or not accept. So it makes it difficult. It's not easy.
So obviously networking in your industry has provided you a lot of help in your career.
Yeah, it really has. We've done all kinds of things with the organization, whether it's monthly lunches or, as president, I instituted the first speed networking. You've heard of speed dating. We did a speed networking, where we lined up on a table and, moved through and with a purpose in mind, what's one word of advice or one person I could call or whatever. And so yeah, it's been really helpful.
So how did that go over? Everybody like it?
It was good. It was really, really good. We had about 24 in a room and, got business cards and found, some people found mentors, which they were seeking for. So yeah, it was a cool exercise, I think, for any organization, to do it once a year.
I saw something, I haven't done one yet, but it was a speed Zoom. So I don't know if everybody goes in a different room or, kind of how that works. But with this company, they're so technologically advanced that they have all these different things and syncs and all that going here. So I'm sure I'm going to have one pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited. Do you have any advice that you would give other women in the industry or those that are still going through school and trying to make a career decision?
Yeah, I think, study hard, work hard, trying to figure out ways where you can help and go outside of what the normal responsibilities are, to make a name for yourself.
Right.
I always think that one of the things I learned with my Vistage group was kind of a decision tree. So if you imagine a tree trunk and the branches and the leaves, And so when you're learning that, you first start a position, you go, okay, well, I don't know what I can do and whether the company values asking for forgiveness or permission. And
Right.
every company is different. And so
Right.
learning those expectations. So the visual of the tree is the leaves are the decisions that you make every day without telling your boss about. And you need to know what those are, right? And then the branches are the ones that you can make, but you need to tell somebody about it. It might involve money, time, resources, right? And then finding out those tree trunk decisions. What are the things that you are not supposed to make without having somebody to bounce off those ideas, or you might need to be even part of making those decisions. So if you can think of that visually, as a new employee or a woman in any industry, I think it's important to know what the expectations are. So yeah.
Do you have any encouragement to push? Because a lot of women, even when they're going through college, they really don't know there's positions in construction other than just standing on the road holding a sign. Is there any like career fairs that you know of, or anything that can give them information?
Well, I think that if you're in college, a lot of the universities will have, it used to be before COVID. Now, I don't know how it's going to work now, but they would have career fairs, and that's a great, not a lot of pressure. You can go by a table and get information, but, really looking at what your skill set is and whether it's construction or another field, where are your strengths? Are you somebody that's really organized and you like planning events or a timetable? Are you really good with money? I mean, project managers, it can be in any type of field. Or, do you like the administrative side, being detail oriented, having a problem or a project and working through what went wrong, what are things that I can contribute, that I can figure out and find solutions. So those type of jobs are available in construction, in addition to accounting or sales or marketing. Social media is a big thing these days. So a lot of companies are looking for that younger generation that's very comfortable with the technology, to be able to reach out to their customers, and whether that's through social media, writing blogs. So it's not just strapping on a tool belt anymore. And most of the companies, I think that's going to be one of the big changes in the future, continue to be, is that, we're going to continue to rely on technology. So finding those out, everybody looks for people, either social media or the new avenues, Craigslist, Indeed, and word of mouth. I mean, get a LinkedIn profile, get a professional picture taken. Don't do a snapshot in your bathroom.
I see a lot of those.
Yes, yeah. So really work on that, and being a thought leader. And it doesn't matter if you're 21 years old. You're an expert in something. And what kind of value can you provide?